Welcome to a world of thrills, a world of drama, of capes and tights, a world where death is a revolving door. Welcome to the Geek Matrix.
Hello and welcome to the Geek Matrix DC Comics Review Show number 610.
Close.
200. Why do I keep doing that? 210. Holy shit. Yeah. Oh my god.
Is it starting to feel like you've been here too long, Rob?
I'm like, you remember how Deadpool released issue 1000 a few years back? I'm just increasing our number by like 500 numbers. I don't give a shit.
Well, 400, but you know who's counting?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I just did.
Never said I was good at math. Actually, I did, but I lied.
No,
Anyway.
You know what my Discord thing says. There's two things you need to know about me, and the first thing is I can't count.
And what's the second? I'm still waiting, Josh.
What do you mean?
What's the second thing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Number 2, damn it.
Number 2. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I can't count. All right.
All right. Yes, we are here to talk about DC Comics and all that good stuff that has come out this week in comics that we're at least reading anyway. My name is Rob. As always, joining me is my wonderful co-host, Josh.
That's what they call me.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the only thing they call you, but
Yeah.
typically.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. Sometimes I call you Joshua, and you hate it.
I hate it when anybody calls me Joshua. I would much rather be called asshole.
How about dickhead? That's like my favorite term these days.
Dickhead is fine.
Dickhead? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with dickhead.
Hey, you.
Actually, there really are no cuss words that I take offense to being called.
Yeah, neither do I. Really. I mean, there's only one, realistically, and that's for personal reasons, but anything else, I don't give a shit what you call me.
And that's for what reasons?
Personal.
Personal reasons. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good chip.
Yeah. Also, it's a word I don't agree with for, again, personal reasons, so I'm not going to say it on air. Plus, I don't want to get canceled before I really even get started.
You can't get canceled for saying a word that describes you.
Oh, it doesn't describe me.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
I thought you were.
It's an offensive word.
I thought you were hinting at like some kind of homophobic slander.
Well, I mean, yeah, like it's the F word. I don't like when people use that.
Oh, got ya.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's really the only thing. If you call me, I'm ready to throw hands.
Okay, I got you there.
Yeah. Unless
I wouldn't worry. You are a member of the LGBT community, so
yeah.
I don't think you'd worry. I don't think you'd have to worry about getting canceled. But by all means, if it ain't in your vocabulary, just keep it out of it.
Yeah. Like, I once tried to push the idea that, like, that's our word. You don't get to use it.
Yeah.
Kind of deal, right?
100% agree.
Yeah. Like, myself and another bisexual friend I had for a while, we call each other that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we were also dickheads.
Maddie and Isaiah, they call each other that all the time.
F word?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Is Isaiah straight?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I know Isaiah said the other week that Maddie's not.
Yeah, and the way he told me that was that he said he found out that Maddie was gay because she would sit there and call him a gay slur word.
Yeah.
And let's just say she would call him gay, and he'd go, "Yeah, you're gay too," and she'd go, "Yeah, and apparently that was her way that she was gay,
Yeah.
and
I think you mean
very well could be Isaiah's too. There's no way to tell, but it don't matter.
Yeah, could be.
Could be.
Could be. Who knows?
Well,
anyway.
I mean, he does.
Yeah. That is always the hope that if anybody's going to know, it's yourself. That's not how I found out. I found out because two close friends of mine after school one day in high school, like grade 12, they came to me on the way home and they were like, they stopped me before we were about to part ways and just said, "I'm going to ask you something. We don't know how to ask it. Like, are you sure you're not gay?" Why?
Like,
do I really act that like I am?
Like, oh my God, isn't that noticeable?
Apparently I do, and since then I've noticed what I do to make people realize.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Until I got into discussions in our Pride channel at Discord, there were so many signals about bisexuality, of which I had absolutely no clue. Down to 11 different sitting styles. And your favorite assault rifle.
You have a few, from what I remember. You were surprised at yourself that you have a lot of the early warning signs of bisexuality.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I was surprised a little bit, but I can interior decorate like a motherfucker, so who knows?
I mean, that's an acquired taste, depending on the bisexual. Not every bisexual can be an interior decorator.
Well, I know. I've seen you decorate.
No, you haven't, you liar.
I'm just fucking with you.
Shut up, bitch.
Most I've seen you decorate is by stacking your books up real tall.
Yeah.
That's all.
But that's because I don't have space. If I had the space to organize those properly, they'd be in fucking pristine condition. You should see my bookshelves now. They're in alphabetical order, layered by series, grouped together in specific ways. It's perfect. Then I got Aquaman, then I got Batman, then I got Detective Comics, then Earth 2 and Flash, and then it kind of falls apart because I have all the event books I have, like Crisis and Dark like Metal, and they're all grouped together there because that's where I had space on the fucking shelf. I think I need another bookshelf.
Yeah, I do too. I feel you. I need 2 or 3 more shelves just for my figures.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
Plus, with the books that Brandon sent me, the top of my comics table here is looking a little full.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of comics, do you think we should talk about some now that we're here?
We should, but since we're here, I wouldn't mind talking about one more little thing.
And that is?
Borderlands.
Ah, Borderlands. Shoot away, kind sir. I have not had the opportunity to see the movie yet.
Well, it's not out yet. I think it's out tomorrow.
There should be no ratings going up on any movie sites until it's made by the general public. And I feel 100% confident saying that because I have read some of the most god-awful critiques on some of the best movies, and I have seen some of the most outlandish raves on some of the worst movies. So fuck Rotten Tomatoes, because that shit is bought and paid for. I would much rather trust
I don't understand how you think that.
I go off of IMDb and Popcorn Meter. IMDb because it's the general public that goes and clicks that. It's not a bunch of paid reviewers.
They're not all paid reviewers.
A good majority of the
And
all
when
of
you
them
say
that get
paid
early
reviewers,
access.
do you mean like people that get paid to review a movie?
Yes.
Okay, well that's just a motherfucker. That's just a job.
I mean, I'm aware of that, but they're the people who set the tone of the review going forward. So all of these, who knows what the, all of these people that have already seen the movie out there giving it a 0% literally affects the perception of anyone else that's going to go and see that movie. But the reason why I don't give a shit about Rotten Tomatoes and why I go to IMDb is because it's rated by the general public. Nobody's paid to put shit up on there. And you can easily tell how bad movie is going to be if it's rated below 5. And the reason why I say that is because if a movie is rated below 5, it's going to have a lot less review numbers than an explosive one, right? So if it's less than 5, you can take a look at it and you're like, this got a 5 out of 10 and there's 400 ratings on here and it got a 5 out of 10. That means the 40-person crew that was on that movie didn't even come in here and give it a bullshit 10 rating. Even they were like, it's a 4. So that's why I like it. It feels more real, and you don't get ratings before the movie comes out.
Okay, but the thing about it is, like, so Rotten Tomatoes also has, like, public reviews.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't get those till after the movie comes out. You'll always get the two scores. You'll get the paid reviewer score, like the professional reviewer score, movie critics, and then the public score. And they are very rarely the same. More often than not, the two scores are very different. And this is what I appreciate about Rotten Tomatoes, because it proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that movie critics, more often than not, are too harsh. And it proved that the idea of a movie critic is kind of an outdated thing nowadays, because in the world of opinion-based marketing and like just opinions being the pinnacle of everything, and individuality reigning supreme, that seeing a movie or not seeing a movie because a reviewer said it was going to be shit is not the greatest choice, because it could turn out to be, for you, an amazing fucking movie. And you were actually a testament to that, Josh. Because somehow you like Morbius.
Yeah, that's what I'm fucking saying.
Like, I'm still going to give it a shot. I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet. I just, there's some scenes I've seen I don't like. But I need to watch it with context to really give it an honest opinion. Right?
Do any of them involve that weird-looking motherfucker from House of Dragons? Because really, he's the only thing that threw that fucking movie for me.
Are you talking about Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just say Matt Smith or Doctor Who. No, I don't
want to call him Doctor Who anymore.
I don't fuck
I do not.
With Game of Thrones, so saying to me that weird looking dude from House of Dragons means nothing. If I wasn't up to date on my actors, I would have no clue what you're talking about.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's specifically that dance. I've seen other people more recently explain it in a different light. But it's still hella awkward.
Very awkward. He's very awkward.
Yeah.
His performance in that and in House of Dragons has made me not want to refer to him as Doctor Who any longer.
Why?
Because I like Doctor Who and I don't want to like him.
He was great as Doctor Who.
He really was. He's just, since then, it's...
That's why I will only refer to him as Doctor Who.
Just not quite as good of roles, I would say.
Sorry, I got distracted by something. My bad. Okay, but basically, what this all boils down to is the early reviews for Borderlands have come out. The opening score on Rotten Tomatoes is in, and it debuted at 0% from the professional critics.
0.
Since then, it has gone up. I don't know what it is currently, but last I heard, it gone up to a 4.
Right.
And honestly, like, just from the internal fan base of Borderlands, of which I'm semi a part of, I don't participate in discussion, but I am a lurker in the fan base, and I am a huge fan of the game series. None of the fans are particularly impressed with the trailer, and that's myself included, mostly because of the cast. It feels like the characters are all wrong. For me, I think the story might be there based on the trailer I've seen. The story looks like it's pretty fucking good, but the character work is so off kilter. It feels like an entirely original entirely original group of characters, I mean to say, in a Borderlands story, which just makes it a new Borderlands game, because that's what you get every Borderlands game is a new cast of characters, but they're calling them the characters from the first and second games. That's a pet peeve of mine when that happens, because you're taking existing IP, existing ideas, existing plots, and changing it completely and saying, oh yeah, it's totally the same thing. No, it's fucking not. This is your original idea. And that bugs the crap out of me, because we are so starved in society for original ideas in movies, because we're just left with adaptations, remakes, and based on historical events, which the third option there, I eat that shit up. I think those are always going to be a thing. Those have never been a problem, and I love those. Like World War II movies, for example, that kind of deal, right? Like, I love those movies. Those historical event movies are fantastic. But when 90% of the movies that end up in the theaters in a year is either an adaptation, a sequel, or a remake, it just gets stale. And this has been a debate for years, and we've been begging for original ideas. And this is the part that really pisses me off, is because we get a lot of movies that are original ideas, but they're being marketed to us as adaptations.
There's something that would appeal.
Yes. And the people don't realize, because these same people that are eating this shit up as an adaptation are the same ones who are leaving the theater and going like, it was great, but I want an original idea. I mean, motherfucker, you just watched one for 2 hours. And for example, perfect example, I'm going to say it, Joker.
Joker didn't need to happen.
I still haven't watched this movie because I don't like being lied to.
I feel you, bro.
Right?
I feel you.
100% completely an original story. There's not a single thing in that movie that has anything to do with the Joker from the DC Comics.
Other than the name Thomas Wayne.
Yeah, which appears for 2 seconds at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
something like that, right?
He shows up a couple times, but there's nothing that's impactful until the last scene.
Yeah,
and then it's well, that makes zero fucking sense.
Yeah. That's not enough to me to call it an adaptation of a character.
It's not. They just use the name Joker. It is a movie about a man who at one time worked as a clown, was not good at it, and went through an intense psychological breakdown.
Yeah.
That's all the Joker is. It's not about the Joker.
No. And this man sucked at his job and figured, I'm going to start killing people.
No, yeah, the one guy. I'm going to kill the one TV guy that laughs at me. But
so he didn't even kill many people. He just killed that one guy that basically ruined his career.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Play that pumpkin music.
See, like, if they took away the clown makeup and made it another, because when it came out, all of my friends were like, "Oh, this movie's awesome," and a lot of the ones that are not comic book fans in the slightest, they don't even care about cape movies anymore. They saw it and they're like, "Yeah, it was so fucking good. It's about the the mental degradation of a man, and you watch the slow decline of his mental state, and it's so thorough and awesome, and it's so fucking well done." I'm like, okay, but what does it have to do with the Joker? Right? It has nothing to do with the Joker. I'm like, you're being lied to, and they didn't want to listen to it. And
not a damn thing to do with the Joker.
The thing about it is, if you took away the clown makeup with the purple suits and just made it about a guy that just broke, and you saw that same mental decline, and you called it something else, and you took away the clown makeup, it would still be an epic fucking movie. It would still be awesome.
Agreed.
And it would be an original idea. And then the people, the public, the general would get what they want. They'd get an original idea that is fucking good.
Yeah, and something that isn't going to confuse the people out there. We have a DC universe that's ongoing. We've got a Joker movie over here that's not Joker. We've got a Batman movie over here that's not Batman. But that's not supposed to confuse anybody.
Are you talking about Robert Pattinson Batman?
Yeah.
I still haven't watched that either, so I can't really comment to that. I mean, the Riddler was really weird, but
and also not the Riddler.
he looked like Batman.
Exactly.
How was he not Batman? Because I don't know yet.
That
I have to watch it.
An hour and a half long podcast, my friend. If you want the Cliff's notes, just ask Isaiah. What does Josh think of Batman?
Okay, fair enough.
Oh my God!
I thought you liked it.
It made me lose so much respect for Matt Reeves. It's not even funny.
Shit.
Yeah, and I loved Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was just total trash.
Well, the next one's coming out soon.
Yay!
So is the next Joker, Folie à Deux, which, get this, is apparently, and I have to double check my sources here, I could be wrong, apparently is a musical.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The Joker sequel is a musical.
Yep, Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga will be singing for your musical pleasure.
I don't get it. Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, not gonna lie, she looks good.
No reason for it though. Not outside of a Batman movie.
Well,
or a DC movie.
If she played Harley Quinn in a Batman movie, I don't think it'd be that bad. Margot Robbie, pinnacle Harley Quinn. I don't care what anybody says. So far, that's the pinnacle Harley Quinn. Apart from obviously the people that voiced her in the cartoons.
I can't remember what the hell her name is.
Yeah, I'm having trouble as well, but she was fucking fantastic. The one in Batman TAS, and then all the ones afterwards. Kaylee Cuoco, even in Harley Quinn the Animated Series, just killing it.
Agreed.
But as far as live action goes, Margot Robbie is the Hugh Jackman for Harley Quinn. I'm convinced.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
At least so far. We shall see. There will be future iterations, but
yeah. But
now,
Lady Gaga, from what I've seen, it looks like she could play a really good Harley Quinn. I just don't think this is the movie for it.
Yeah, if only she was in a DC movie, not a Todd Phillips movie.
Yeah.
But I've said the letters DC enough that I think we should probably move on to the books real quick and fly through what we were covering, and then I can hit those honorable mentions before we take a brief commercial break.
Sounds good.
All right, for honorable mentions, we've got Batman and Robin and Howard Summer Breakdown number 2. It's a great young reader's book to get them into comics, which I thoroughly recommend for any child out there. Batman and Robin and Howard do it again in what I believe is actually the fourth appearance of Howard in the Young Readers line. But for little kids, man, I'm talking 7, 8, 9. This is good stuff. 8 out of 10. My Adventures with Superman #3. This is seriously one of the best Amazo stories I have read. And it keeps the pace of not sucking. The first 2 issues were 8 or higher, and this one is no different. It's a good PG version of Superman comics without being corny or having watered down stories. It's just good. I gave it an 8.25 out of 10. Excuse me. Kneel Before Zod #8. I did some catching up here. I had to force myself through it, but I wanted to. You know, if I can do it with Tom King, damn it, I can do it with anybody. So, Kneel Before Zod #8. It was probably the best issue out of the series so far. Well, it's still not on a list of books I would recommend if someone were to ask for a suggestion. It is better than the previous 7 issues. Not a huge fan of the art, but not a lot of complaints for the style. I'll give it a 6.75 out of 10.
It is the last issue as well.
Oh, is that the last issue?
Yeah.
Well, then they went out on a bang then.
What it said at the end there, that it is,
Oh,
for now, the end.
I didn't even catch that part.
Yeah.
And then our last honorable mention is The Boy Wonder #4. This is not my art style. This is not my writing style. I am not a fan of the book that tells a whole huge story within another story in an issue. Bringing up Tom King again. But for some reason, I cannot get enough of this series. It delves deep into Damian, who and what he is, and his psychological growth through all of his experiences. The writing style works for this. The backstory that's inside the story works for this. The art works for this, as much as I am surprised. This is really, really good stuff, and it gets an 8.5 out of 10.
Hell yeah.
And then after the commercial, we will be back to cover BlueBeetle #11, Birds of Prey #12, Shazam #14, Gotham City Sirens #1, Absolute Power #2, and Batman 151.
So,
and with that,
well, before we go, I just want to comment on Kneel Before Zod
by all
and
means,
Sinister Sons. I get it's not for everybody, and I can completely see that. But I am like seriously correct. These 2 books, while heavily connected and connected to what's going on in Green Lantern to a certain degree, as we will see these characters again in upcoming issues of Green Lantern, as we saw at the end of Sinister Sons, that this is like the prologue to a greater, grander cosmic story.
yeah, it's
Involving these characters. Like this is the setup issue to deal with that.
Yeah, the world's biggest setup issue, combining both of those series.
Yeah.
But hopefully, given that it is heading over to the Green Lantern universe, we will be looking at some really good stories, because Green Lantern has been in some good hands thus far.
Yeah, Green Lantern needs a Annihilation story.
Think so?
Yeah, I'm not saying like an actual Annihilation story. I'm saying it needs an Annihilation type story, like something grandiose and set specifically in space, dealing with characters in space. Right?
Oh, I believe we're heading there.
I certainly hope so.
I don't see any other option with everything that's going on now.
Yeah, I'm certainly going somewhere.
It certainly is. And with that, so are we. We're heading out for a commercial break, and we will be right back.
I will be right back, and really have to be.
Have fun.
Oh, I will.
What did you do? Well, I have no idea what happened there. Well, that figures. Looks like I'll just have to figure it out later while I wait for my compatriot to come back. Seems that I have messed up our video transitions once again. So I'm gonna just do that here while we wait for him. There we go, I got it fixed. Excellent. I'm just sitting here waiting on my co-host while I have this incessant song going through my head from, oh geez, trying to think of when it even came out. It was so long ago, 2002. So 22 years ago, and I can't get the song out of my head. It just popped up out of nowhere, and now we're here. And it's the Union Underground across the nation. I just can't get it out of my dang head. Much like all of this comic book nonsense that I am constantly gobbling down, it's at the forefront. Let's get it on. Now get the guns, the drugs from my generation. I'll take the fall, the saints across the nation. And it's the sex, the guys, the freaks, the frosts that messing with me. I won't make you listen to me sing anymore, but move to the music. Play that freaking music. Move into the music, yeah. So while we are waiting for him, let me see if there's any new comic book news to drop on you. Got some interesting information about the new Superman that's going to be showing up in Absolute Superman. He dropped Jason Aaron, the writer of Absolute Superman, dropped a couple of nuggets on us about the upcoming new Superman that we will have. Now, something we already know is that the Absolute Universe is going to give us new versions of our classic heroes, offering fresh perspectives while not changing who they truly are too much. Not sure exactly how that plays out, but one thing I can tell you is that I'm hoping that it does. And Jason Aaron is a hell of a writer, so I've got some faith in him. I'm hoping that's not misplaced. But the things that he dropped on us is that Superman's Kansas origin is going to be radically altered because of Jason Aaron's connection to Kansas. He's got long hair because it says something about his personality. So Krypton exploded just like everything else that we've done before. But what happened when he came here was different. You can assume his life in Kansas didn't go according to what we know. He's a guy with no family, no home. He's here in this world. So those things like we just talked about, part of the story being in Kansas is very important to Jason Aaron. So it's going to be radically different from what we know. And Superman's also going to have that long, more emo haircut with some stubble. Absolute Superman debuts in Brazil with a different backstory and some challenges, yet somehow stays true to who Superman is. And an interesting thing is that Superman's cape is actually going to be made out of Krypton's dust, which is going to give it this unique grainy appearance, as I'm sure you've seen in a number of the photos. That is not just artistic interpretation, although I could see how one would think that, given that the tall grass that Superman is walking through looks very much the same. So that's pretty dang interesting as far as I'm concerned. It makes me happy to know that Jason Aaron is such a massive Superman fan. But as far as really more news on what the Absolute Universe is going to give me, I've not received anything that's shown me I'm going to enjoy it. I, just from the images, do have some issues going forward with it. I, of course, will give it its fair shake. We've got a number of them that are coming, and a number of new versions of heroes, from what I understand. And Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman being the Trinity. As always, it'll be really interesting to see if these are the heroes that we still know if it still feels like we know these heroes, because they do say that they're not going to be losing the essence of their core character. However, that could be really open to interpretation because we've seen a couple different iterations of what the core character of these characters could be, with maybe the exception being thrown to Superman, who has, for the most part, been very much the same character, slipping in and out of global hero and United States hero, the like. Starting to worry about my co-host here, because it has been quite some time. So let me check on him real quick, and I will come back. All right, we tracked him down, folks. So now you no longer have to hear me ramble on about the very little that I know about Absolute Power or how a 22-year-old song is stuck in my head. So,
I got the girl. Across the nation.
See, I mentioned to him before we started the show. It's still there. All right, but
so
something else, yeah.
Do you have something like besides the books?
No.
Okay, so something I forgot to send you guys. I saw yesterday, the day before, or sometime this week. Hey, why do I click that? So, Absolute Superman. Right?
Yeah, the only thing that I've seen that's new that I wasn't aware of was that he'll be debuting in Brazil and that his cape is made out of Krypton's dust.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. That was confirmed by the writer.
No, I never would have put that together because, I mean, looking at it now, I can see that it appears dust-like.
Yeah,
but
really with
the art that's going on around it, including the tall grass he's walking underneath, it definitely didn't stand out to me just because of the way that it's drawn.
Yeah.
But no predetermined judgments here other than I hope those Batman stories are really good. But
my only thing about it is I was going to bring up, obviously I try my damnedest to never judge the book by its cover and never pass judgment until I see the finished work. But just the idea of, okay, so his cape is made from the dust of his dead world.
Yep.
Couple of questions.
You got the problem with it? I already do.
How to, why, and 3, not a question, more of a statement. That just sentence to me sounds edgy as fuck and reminds me of Zack Snyder's Superman.
It does sound edgy. My problem with it is the reason why Kryptonite hurts him is because it's from his home planet. Yeah, it's the ground of his home planet. Yeah,
it's irradiated, but yes.
Okay, so like, wouldn't the dust do the same?
I mean, it depends if it's irradiated, because you can have just a normal rock from Krypton that was not irradiated in the explosion or through space or whatever, that would not hurt him.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's just kryptonite is rocks like from his home planet, bits from his home planet that were exposed to radiation.
Space radiation.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. From what I remember, if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Well, that is information that I missed, so or forgot. I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. It's definitely one or the other. All right, you ready to jump into these, my man?
Yes, sir.
All right, you want to kick us off with BlueBeetle?
Yes, sir. So, yeah, I figure we should get to the books eventually. I forgot I was gonna talk about Batman Cape Crusader, but I can talk about that next week when I watch a bit more of it.
Oh, yeah, I got to get some in too. So
I've only seen the first episode so far, but I'll talk about it more next week. All right, so this is BlueBeetle number 11, the last issue of the series. Very unfortunate, but here we are. This is written by Josh Trujillo, with art from Adrian Gutierrez, colors from Will Quintana, and letters from Lucas Catoni. With the cover you see in front of you from Gutierrez and Luis Guerrero. Yeah, it's a really nice cover. I like it.
yeah, agreed.
So the issue starts off with a few meetings, 2 meetings in particular. Well, it doesn't start off with the 2 meetings. It starts off with 1 meeting. The second meeting is a little bit later. But the first meeting we see is with the, I was going to say the Uli, but that's the princess's name. The Horizon. Between the leaders of the Horizon and Princess Uli. One of the leaders, being the king, is her father, of course. She was tasked with gathering information on the human population and deciding whether or not, or bringing it to the council to help them decide whether or not Earth is a good place for them to stay. And after everything that's happened over the previous 10 issues, they've decided that it is not a fit for them and that they should leave as soon as possible. However, Uli has not delivered her report yet, and they are still asking for it. And after that, they will decide once and for all, after Uli tries her damnedest to prevent them from just taking off and leaving her behind, or leaving Earth behind. For obvious reasons we can imagine, but she insists that that's not really it. The other meeting we see is Victoria Cord at the board of directors of Cord Industries, Cord Technologies, Cord. What's the company name this time?
Whatever
I
they're
feel like
calling
it changes
it now.
every few years. Yeah. Ted is back on the board after he was booted off back in Blue and Gold, and he's in his full BlueBeetle regalia. I think that's something they're just gonna have to get used to. Yeah, like in the fucking boardroom. So they all are voting Victoria out and essentially firing her as CEO. And Ted is going to take over again. After, since she took over, stock has continuously tanked, and the credibility of the company has been put in jeopardy after all the stuff with Pinnacle and the Beatles. She nearly murdered a bunch of people. But just as she's about to storm out and say, "I will be back," the police come in and say she's under arrest for the attempted murder of Brenda Del Vecchio. As Brenda has announced or shown to the police that she was attacked by Victoria Cord's robots and officers. And we next see her, as well as Paco and Xiomara, walking through a park, and Brenda is using crutches. She's gravely hurt, or very hurt. Not gravely hurt, very hurt. But with all this going on there, Xiomara is thinking that she might just head back home for a little bit, and wants to bring Paco with her because it's the only way her family gets to meet her boyfriend, which perks Paco up very much, and they share a nice kiss, leaving Brenda stuck as the third wheel. But that is interrupted by a truck zooming by, and on top of it is the praying mantis, the next one.
Right.
As Xiomara says, I thought there already was a praying mantis, and as Paco says, she ate him. Good luck. So she suits up as Gold Beetle.
That works.
Gold Beetle, yeah, whatever. I'm still thinking Sentai, you know. It's there.
Totally get it.
Yeah. So she suits up and takes on Praying Mantis. Praying Mantis does get a cut in the armor, but then takes a fist right to the face and gets knocked out. Ziamara wins. At the Oblivion Bar, Tracy 13 has been called by Madame Xanadu to help her with a ritual. And this ritual in particular has to do with Jaime Reyes as the Blue Beetle and his future, as Madame Xanadu has seen a brief glimpse into Jaime's future, and it involves a great battle. As we see a brief glimpse, what looks to be the Horizon fighting against the Blue Beetle, Uli, Starfire, Nitida, Ziamara, and also Blood Scarab.
Yeah, Blue Beetle's posse versus the Horizon.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Tracy 13 is very concerned about this and almost doesn't believe it, but especially since the Blood Scarab is dead. But this is when Madame Xanadu reveals that she has the Blood Scarab's body right there and revives him. Not specifically the Blood Scarab, but Javier Basualdo has been revived by Madame Xanadu. And the last thing she says to him is, "Your fight has only just begun." And the first words he says is Kaji Da. So more to come from that. Jaime, meanwhile, is doing his best to get somewhere super fast, but it's a secret. He doesn't want to tell his aunts. Gets his shift covered by none other than Gimmicks. I don't know why I keep thinking her name was Glimmer. Gimmicks, who's now working at the diner. So he heads out, but then is found by his parents and sister, who surprise him on a trip to the city to see him and see the city and see how everything's going. He figures he has some time before he has to get to where he needs to go. He takes him to the zoo. After all, it's his sister's 16th birthday. And there's a whole big discussion. At the end of it all, they sit together in a mall as his mom and sister go shopping for a dress for his sister. His dad comes over and talks to him, realizes something is wrong, talks about trust, and realizes that this is not where Jaime wants to be right now, or even needs to be. Go do what you got to do. We'll meet you back at the diner. Besides, it looks like someone might need you more than your sister right now. And as he looks out the window, he sees Uli, who's also looking at dresses. And she has come to Jaime to reveal to Jaime that based on her own reports, her shepherd Ood has decided to stay in Palmyra City, and that she will be there for a while, as well as all of her people. Jaime is very excited and says, "That's great." And then Uli, complete with blushing eyes, plants a nice big kiss on him, which surprises him, catches him off guard, and before he can actually explain himself and she can explain herself, he realizes he takes off in the Blue Beetle armor and goes to his destination, which is Palmyra State University, meeting Paco and Brenda as they begin the next step in their journey, freshman year of college, or I guess university. That's where the issue ends for now. And as the text boxes say at the end, it's only the beginning. After all, there's a lot of story left open. They've set up some stuff for another series. But this is the last issue, as far as I know. I guess I should double check.
as far as we've been led to believe up until today,
yeah.
I've not heard anything to the contrary.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any solicits about it either. So as far as I know, this is the last issue, and I'm very upset. In fact, I am just going to go double check right now that it is the last issue.
That works. Because I'm with you, man. I really like this. Gutierrez and Gattoni bring that art like I came to expect in the Blue Beetle book. I think this one wrapped up really nicely. And like you said, it set up a whole bunch more that I'm ready to dive into. I'm just not a fan of having to wait for it or, you know, not knowing if or when it's coming. Um, while this wasn't action packed, it did bring a really good Reyes issue to life.
Yeah.
And I think that this series ended on a definite high note. But next month would be great for the next Beetle series. Just saying. Um, it gets an easy 8.25 out of 10 from me.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.75. It's a very nice ending to the series, um, leaving a lot to be desired because they leave a lot on the table. And despite the fact that Blood Scarab had died, he is being revived, which I so that vision just brought back my whole hope that this is a Sentai book, and that we're still getting started on Blue Beetle, the Sentai series. Like,
Right.
please.
At some point, all of these beetles are going to form an even bigger beetle.
That would be so dope.
You know, please,
please.
DC needs the Power Rangers.
Jaime once was a teenager with attitude. Okay, it counts.
Yeah.
So
that's for sure. He certainly was.
So let's just can stop beating around the bush. You know, Josh Cirillo, get back in the writing room and make that Sentai book, buddy. I know you have it in you. It's there. It's waiting. For fuck's sake, he already fought a giant robot in a recent issue. Like, it's right there.
It's like, I'm literally telling you, you should go to work, guy.
Yeah. I don't know why this book ended, because Josh Cirillo clearly has more story to tell. Seriously has more story to tell. If this is an editorial decision, if this is a sales decision, it's stupid. If this is a creative decision, okay, fine. Take a break, recharge, get the juices back flowing, make more story, and make this book happen. Please.
I'm hoping that this is just a break until the universe settles down and then a decision gets to be made afterward. Unfortunately, this is the second time in the past 2 years that this has happened to Jaime Reyes.
Yeah. Well, I suspect that
the same thing happened in the movie. James Gunn is like, yeah, I mean, it's the first movie, but it's not the first movie. So, Blue Beetle just kind of...
okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about like
his stays there,
like Graduation Day.
Oh, Graduation Day was just awesome. Man.
Yeah, because I think that was always intended to just be a 6-issue mini.
Yeah,
and
as far as I know,
set up. I don't know. Either he had a plan from the get-go; it was set up for a larger story, or it was always planned to just be a 6-issue mini. And then by the time he finished it, he realized there was more story to be told.
No, that
either way,
for me.
It got us a really good 11-issue series.
yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
it sure did. And with that, I do suppose that we should mosey on over to the next book, and that book is Birds of Prey number 12. And it's pretty good.
Also, hey, that's like 10 minutes ago. I apologize if we didn't see it before. Seraphic's Crimson. Good. How you doing?
Oh, whoops. Yep. Nope. I was not watching the chat whatsoever. I am sorry, guys. Thanks for keeping an eye on that, Rob. Okay. Anyway, hi guys, and the Birds of Prey, right? Yeah, Birds of Prey. Let's change that over. Not what one would expect to see on a Birds of Prey cover, a bunch of chibi dolls, but here we are, written by Kelly Thompson, art from Javier Pina, Sophie Campbell, and Gavin Goudry, with Jordi Belair colors and lettering from Clayton Coles, with the cover by Leonardo Romero, with Belair colors again. It is the penultimate issue of this arc, so let's just jump in. Still in the heat of the battle as the rest of the team heads for a portal, Vixen seems to be clobbering the snot out of Maya. They think that they can take her, but need to find Babs first. So off they go into another portal, and on the other side, they come out as cartoons, which you could tell by the cover. Sin had never been exposed to cartoons, but assumed that since they were for kids, they were all fluffy and safe. But it turns out that, like cartoons, there's anvils falling from the sky and stuff. So not exactly a safe harbor. They do find Babs pretty quickly, head to a bar, drink root beer and bitch about it, and then Cassie comes up with a plan. They need a big amount of energy to get a portal open, and the commotion from making it will draw Maya. Well, the birds get into a huge fight with some militaristic bunnies, and that does the trick. Bunnies took a little bit of an offense to Barda throwing one into space, as it's reported. The portal opens, Majira engulfs Maya, and then, reluctantly, because historically things don't work out the greatest, Sella jumps into the portal first, remembering that the thoughts of whoever goes into the portal first determines what kind of place it is that they will end up. According to Cass's plan, Sela needs to think about her sisters. So she does, and she jumps through. Here, outside of the pocket dimension, Zealot and Meridian are not dealing well with having to be patient or not knowing what's going on the other side of the portal. And that's when Constantine shows up with Xanthi of the Spirit World, which I was really happy to see.
Yeah, that was cool.
Xanthi is probably my favorite character from that new initiative, and I'm glad to see that they are back. So Xanthi reaches into the portal, turn around, and they ask, "Are you sure they're not dead?" And that's the issue. What the hell? Yeah. So things were crazy when they were just stuck in a pocket dimension, and now Xanthi has opened up this whole other box of WTF. With just one issue of the arc left, it will have to be written really well to be satisfying, without being rushed. But this issue itself, it really shined for me. It had action, it had comedy, it had emotion, all with pretty dang good art, especially when drawing normal-looking Maya in the cartoon world. That was really impressive, the way that it looked. It looked fantastic altogether, and altogether this was pretty dang good. I will be giving Birds of Prey number 12 an 8.25 out of 10.
I rather liked this issue. I thought the switch in the art style was really cool. I'm liking that each new world they go to isn't just a new world and a new aesthetic, it's a new look. This one was just bloody adorable.
It really was.
And this book continues to just be fun and be super interesting. But this issue is 90% fun and interesting, and very little like plot development apart from a lot of like character interactions, which was really cool. But the major plot development that I was really hooked on was the last page, where we see Xanthi show up and ask, "Are you sure they're not dead?" Which is very curious, because if anybody knows anything about spirits and being dead, it's Xanthi.
Right.
That's they know the spirit world. Yeah, there's no two ways about it. If anybody's going to know, it's them.
Indeed. I would say that the initiation of Cass's mysterious plan is definitely pushing things forward as well.
Yeah. Which
We just don't have any details about.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm trying to remember what it was. Okay,
All we
I
know,
haven't seen it yet.
all we know about it first is that they wanted to fight those bunnies to open up a portal,
Yeah,
and that they were having Sela go through the portal first, thinking about her sisters.
right. Oh,
Well,
yes. So that seems like the plan is, um, you, the thought process of the person that goes to the portal first is what's going to influence the next world.
right.
So if Zella's thinking about her sisters as she goes to the portal, then the next world should contain her sisters
That's the thought.
or get them out.
We're not positive,
Yeah,
even at this point, if there is a way out of the pocket dimensions.
yeah, yeah. Which is fucking wild.
Yeah, they are very certain, though they don't know for sure, but they're pretty damn certain that if they kill Maya, that they'll be stuck there. So the other part of Cass's plan was that Majira would come out of Sin and engulf Maya, which is the last that we saw of
Yeah.
them, was Majira wrapped around Maya like a blanket.
Yeah,
And then
and
Xanthi letting us know they're probably dead.
Maya potentially convincing Megara to join her.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope not.
Yeah. I'm loving the whole scenario with Sin and Megara. It's like an Eddie Brock Venom kind of deal.
It is, and I like
For
that.
the movie version. Yeah, it's
Like,
really
oh.
cool. It adds a bit of levity to the tense situations.
Mm-hmm.
Gives Sin something to do other than stand around.
Right.
You know,
Have a Black Canary worry about her.
yeah. It's a very interesting dynamic.
It is.
I am going to give it an 8.5.
Fair enough. Well, that was magical.
Yeah, I see what you did there. All right. Well, speaking of magic, we're gonna get into Shazam number 14. Where is he? I don't know.
We don't know.
Let's find out. Where in the world is Billy Batson Part 2? This is issue number 14. This is written by Josie Campbell with art from Manuela Lupacino, colors from Trish Mulvihill, and letters from Troy Pateri, with the cover you see in front of you on your screen by Gleb Melnikov.
Which just always looks good.
Yep. And what on earth is that? Well, dear reader, let's go find out, shall we? So we pick up where we left off last issue. Freddy is in some kind of demon dimension surrounded by some troll-like creatures, furry beast demons.
They're the Submen.
The Submen, yes.
And little known trivia fact: this isn't the first Shazam story we've seen them in. He's a throwback character.
Yeah, I think like way back, like
way back.
Silver Age at least.
Yep.
Yeah.
Silver.
Which just lends credence to the fact that this series and this creative team knows what they're doing.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Right, so Freddy is there alone and reveals himself, well, at least tries to reveal himself to be the king of the service world, and he's here to have a parlay with the king of the subworld. And as he's doing that, he's hoping that everybody else around him is doing what they can to get out of their own tense situations by doing what he's doing, lying his ass off.
Liar.
Yeah. Now, Mary and Billy are with Uncle Dudley, who, as we saw last issue, has returned in his own makeshift Shazam type costume, and brings out his own magical item, his own source of his own superpowers, a crowbar. Hanging those monsters in the knees, then running away. Just so brilliant. All right, so Mary and Billy take a brief sidebar to talk about what is going on. Mary tries to convince Billy you can't just run away, and Billy is going on about you put everyone in danger. He's the cause of the magic leak. He needs to get away from everyone. he can't give away his problem, and he almost destroyed reality because he got sad. He has no reason to be a hero, but that's obviously a dig at the captain, who's got his own personality, and the captain is struggling with the fact that Billy just refuses to turn into him, and believes he cannot trust the captain. So, as some submen break through the walls, in the subway station they're in the platform, Mary is left to deal with them herself. Since Billy refuses to transform into the captain, she teleports Billy and Dudley to go find Freddy. Meanwhile, Freddy is at a dinner table surrounded by a bunch of submen who are eating human flesh.
Nummy.
He just calls it a sapien bone. I'm going to assume that's a human femur.
I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah. So they have a discussion back and forth about how people in the surface world take away everything, their good fortune and their power, and if Freddy's capable of understanding the pain of what it feels like to lose everything, and all he's thinking about is how he used to have the power of Shazam and be Captain Marvel Jr., and he just, with a solemn single word, says, yes, I know exactly how that feels. So with that, the king of the submen arises from the table, and together they go out into the courtyard, I guess, away from the dinner table, and reveals that today is the day they will march on the surface world, will take back what is theirs.
Right.
And as Freddy begins to maybe try to talk him out of it, like try something else, King reveals that he knows Freddy is not a king, he's just some kid, and he only played along because he thought it was funny, it amused him. So Freddy gets teleported away, as we see what was potentially the title of the next issue, Rise of the Submen. So Freddy is now back in the subway platform. Before he was teleported to the area of the submen to begin with. Yeah, that right. Yeah, that is a submen. And finds the green jacket-clad person that can pull things out of tattoos or graffiti.
So yeah. This is definitely not Primer, y'all.
No. And with that, she pulls a knife out and says, I know how to make ghosts. Just, holy shit. Okay, I'm not going to go to the whole speech, but it's a little terrifying.
It's a bit intimidating.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on another platform,
trifle.
Mary is having a hard time with the subman that she's fighting, just as a few more appear. And meanwhile, on a third platform, Billy and Dudley are in a platform that is falling apart. The captain is begging, pleading with Billy to let him out, but is also talking to somebody else. If I can't, saying, like, you brought me here, but if I can't reach him, then help me save Billy.
Billy.
Help me save them all. As we get an image in the mirror, he's looking into
help you,
all
Jerry.
Of the kids, including Uncle Dudley, be in grave danger. But then we cut back to just Billy and Dudley as Billy sees what potentially is a cherub, just like a little toddler in a toga, standing on the train tracks, crying and asking for help. And as Billy goes over to him, I was going to say cherub again, the little kid runs off and climbs underneath some boarded, some 2x4, some boards boarding up the entranceway to the tunnels. Dudley didn't see it, and he thinks that Billy's going through a hallucination.
Some kid in a toga.
Yep. Is this toga kid with us right now?
No.
But using the power of his magical crowbar, which is just a crowbar, he screams out Shazam and bashes the boards down with his totally normal crowbar. It says, voila, superpower.
Voila, superpower.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But at that point, Billy is revealed to be telling the truth because they see some magical door behind these boards. And as they get sucked into it, Billy awakes in a grassy field outside in the world somewhere. Dudley is nowhere to be found, but he finds that little boy, which I'm convinced is still a cherub, and says the toga-clad kid tells him to run away. It's the end of the world. Time of monsters is here, as we see they are being chased by a giant subman.
It's the end of the world as we know it. There's Monster Man. You don't have to stop me.
So as we find, as it says in the text box at the end, find out who survives the invasion of the submen in issue number 15. As the kids are facing down certain doom. That's the end of the issue. I rather liked it. I'm loving this series. I'm loving this story. Since Josie Campbell took over, nothing. It feels like nothing changed. Right? It's only been the one story arc, if I remember correctly, so far, but it flowed so perfectly out of what was happening before with Mark Waid. It's just it didn't miss a beat. They work really well together, and I like the character moments that she's got going on with these kids. Mary is in a place where she's doing her thing as Mary Marvel and is comfortable. She's got her own god power, but she's still learning how to be the adult of the situation. But Billy is dealing with his personal demons, and Freddy's dealing with his personal demons, and I love where they're going with both of those. Billy doesn't want the power. Freddy wants the power. Who's going to get it? Right?
Not the one who wants it.
Nope.
At least I don't. So.
It's all backdropped onto some beautiful art that works really well with the comedic elements. It's a really well done book, a really well done issue. I'm honestly going to give this a 9 out of 10.
Fair enough, and I can't blame you for liking it so much. I cannot be any clearer. This is a Shazam book. Josie Campbell could literally open up a "This is how you write Shazam" workshop. Yeah. She could teach Mark Waid. She could remind Jeff Johns. This is how you do a Shazam book. We have had plenty, but it has been a long, long time since it felt like I was reading the adventures of Shazam. And these last few issues have really hit that sweet spot for me. Good action, good story, silliness, caring, the whole 9 yards, plus, of course, world-ending monsters and Uncle Dudley. It's great. And it looks awesome throughout the whole thing. This is really exactly what I'm looking for in a Shazam story, and it's what you're looking for in a Shazam story, too. Thank you very much, Campbell and Company. Thank you very, very much. This one got a very easy 8.5 out of 10 from me.
Right on.
And, I mean, sound the alarm, am I right?
A siren, if you will.
A siren indeed, and that's what I'm going to do. Written by Leah Williams, art from Matteo Lally, colors from Triona Farrell, letters from Hassan Atsmani Al-Hal, and the cover from Terry and Rachel Dodson. Okay, so we start out with a brunette named Jaina, seemingly running for her life, and then a bunch of shirtless yet masked dudes riding horses are chasing White Rabbit. Quick reminder here for anybody that doesn't know, Jaina Hudson is White Rabbit. She can split into 2 bodies. One remains her, and the other one is White Rabbit. So, I mean, okay, I guess technically she doesn't split into 2. She kind of generates the White Rabbit body, I guess. Anyway, she's running, and Catwoman nabs the Jaina half, saying she has some questions. Next, we cut to Harley in the park, and a herd of bison stampeding through with more cowboy dudes chasing them, this time on 4-wheelers. Harley takes those guys out, finds out that the bison is some kind of biomechanical thing. Then 2 of the guys start talking like they've been playing an online video game and talking about how they just bought these avatars. And then their eyes burn out of their head. Harley runs to Ivy with the dead guys and a bison charging her, then says that they need to take it to Catwoman, of all people, to hack into its guts.
Yummy.
Next, we're with the large group of weird-ass cowboy dudes, some fully clothed, some shirtless, some bare-ass naked, and this is where they drop the body for White Rabbit. Now, Jaina can see through White Rabbit's eyes because they're the same person. Now we're with some kind of a hot tub webcam model that the cowboy dudes are just staring at, and then at some sort of real-life video game where people are being hunted or something, with cross promotions being done between the video game and the energy drink that seems to be the character here. And the energy drink is called Exo Punch, and you can get free punch bucks. Do you see where this is going? It started naming that pretty close to the beginning of the book, so the reveal that Punchline is behind all of this was zero surprise at all. Though her morphing from a YouTube star asking for social justice into a webcam gamer bikini girl seems odd, but whatever, I guess. The next week caption says Robo Bison, hot tub live streaming, and murder. Tune in next week to find out what the hell is going on. And boy, does that pretty much sum up this entire issue. I gotta say, this is not what I was hoping for in a Gotham City Sirens book. Lolly and Lolly and Farrell do memorable work here, but I'm definitely not yet sold on this story at all. I guess we'll see where it goes. Again, great art, but that's not enough to get it above a 7, and that's me being pretty damn nice. I'm gonna have to give Gotham City Sirens #1 a 6.75 out of 10.
6.75. All right. I'm not that low, but it's not too high either. It's not like a bad premise, but it's not the strongest premise either. It's interesting. I was super excited to hear this book was happening, and we're finally getting these three back together again. But I can't say I was expecting it to be tied into what all three of them are doing in their solo books, but I was hoping there would be something.
You and me both, brother. You and me. Oops, I forgot to change the daggum cover.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the cover.
Plus the fact that this is a 4-issue weekly series and it's only happening this month kind of sucks. Because I was hoping this could be a fun, like, let's get these three gals back together, have some fun, and do some crazy stuff, maybe commit a crime or two, which they do on their own. But together, instead, they're going to be heroes. I get they might have done that here and there in the original Gotham City Sirens, but I was really hoping to see these three be these three together. But we'll see. We'll see. Especially with the tagline of "Being bad never felt this good." It could have been executed a little bit better. But we'll see. We'll see. For now, it's a 7.5 because it is an interesting plot. Just not super interesting. So for now, 7.5.
I get where you're at with that.
Yeah.
And hell, you know what? I'm gonna bump it up to a 7 because of Lally and Farrell. That art is just, it's really good. But I guess that takes us to our next book, eh?
Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
Getting better at this. This is Absolute Power #2. It's written by Mark Waid with art from Dan Mora, colors from Alejandro Sanchez, and letters from Ariana Maher, with the cover Before You from Dan Mora. And I completely forgot the last page of the first issue because I was wondering who the hell that is on the cover holding Superman. Yeah, I was like, who is this? Is it Cyborg Superman? Is it like T.O. Mora? Like, who is that? And I completely forgot. Little did I know I was so close when I said Cyborg Superman.
Right.
So we open up on Amanda Waller's Hall of Order base in Washington, D.C., where she is conferring with her war council consisting of Green Arrow, Dreamer, the fucking failsafe. I was going to call him Nightfall.
Not quite.
Not quite. And quite honestly,
Close
might have
enough.
been a better name. Don't you
Definitely.
think?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Nightfall sounds so much better. And Brainiac Queen, that's her inner circle. Basically, the generals of her army, if you will, apart from Sarge Steel. But he's not a general, he's a sergeant. Yeah. That was funnier in my head. So they are discussing the heroes that they have captured so far, and they have incarcerated over 80% of Earth's superheroes, and those same superheroes have been depowered or incarcerated. The problem is that the 20% remaining includes some of the biggest fish yet to be caught, some of the biggest heroes with the best powers, and the leaders of the superhero community. They saved the hardest for last, and they've gone underground. However, Amanda Waller has a secret weapon that nobody knows about. She has just the man for the job to help find them. Everybody gets their own missions, and with that, they go about their next mission. Back at the Fortress of Solitude, which is where the heroes have gone underground and are planning their next move. There is almost right away a skirmish between some of the big heroes as to who should lead the operation. And between Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Mission Terrific, and Batman, they have almost a fist fight with words as to who's going to be the leader here, which, come on now. Batman actually says the words, "You don't have the years I do, Terrific." You have the years of experience, meaning you should know that now is not the time to fight amongst yourselves. You fool. But lo and behold, who stands up and ignores all of that because he's too busy with his own team, the Titans? Nightwing, motherfucker.
Big Daddy Dick. That's what I meant to
say. Big Daddy Dick?
Big Daddy Dick.
I think Big Dick Batty would be nice. like Batman, like Batman, but
that sounds filthy.
Big Dick Daddy doesn't sound much better.
I said Big Daddy Dick.
That's just as bad, if not worse. And I think you know that. you could say, okay, like Big Dick Daddy is just like a crude nickname for somebody who could be like a father figure or a major badass in a fight, right? But saying Big Daddy Dick, that's talking about a singular thing there. That's
a singular person, you perv.
That's the last word is dick. I don't know.
Right, fair enough. I wrote that one for the joke. It's not as innocent as when I did Raven Choke's Dick.
Look, no matter how you mean it, how you intend it, when dick is involved, it's never innocent. Whether you mean Dick or Dick Grayson, it's never innocent.
Dick Grayson.
Still never innocent.
Fair enough.
Almost every topic, almost every time Dick Grayson is brought up, somebody mentions his ass.
Well, I wasn't. I think he's more than just that.
But my theory still stands because I just brought up his ass.
Hey, his name is Nightwing, not Night Meat. Come on now, people.
Now he's making it all about his ass. Anyway, this sweet piece of ass standing up and being the hero, the leader that everyone needs, and with some brief words of encouragement, Bruce then goes, "That's my boy." Yeah, that's your boy? 2 minutes ago you were saying, "No, I'm going to be the leader." Yeah, okay, shut up, Bruce.
Not the mama.
Yeah. That was a fucking pull right there. I'm curious how much of our viewer base gets that reference.
And if you haven't watched the Dinosaurs TV show, you have missed some things in your life.
Or you weren't born in the early 90s.
Oh, nonsense. It's all over. It's out there somewhere. You got to watch it.
Yeah. It was quite interesting, especially the final episode.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And that show was made for children?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
I watched Rocko's Modern Life, and I'm still not convinced I was supposed to be watching it when I was 8. So
no, everybody that watched Rocko's Modern Life when they were 8 says that now.
Yeah.
Because
you go back and you see things, you're like, why was this on the kids' network? Why was this on Teletoon?
Same thing with me and Cartoon Network. I'm like, or I think it was Cartoon Network, yeah. Ren and Stimpy. I'm like, Jesus, I knew they were raunchy.
Yeah.
I knew my parents shouldn't know that I was watching it, but having gone back and seen it, I like it. Like, I get their point now.
Yeah. I might be misremembering it, but I'm pretty sure I distinctly remember a scene where I think Ren licks Stimpy. Which one's Ren? Which one's Stimpy? No, Stimpy's the cat. Yeah. Because this is Ren goes, Stimpy, you idiot.
Stimpy, you idiot.
Yeah. So
yes.
Ren licks Stimpy, and it's supposed to be like a metaphor for licking a cat, you know? If you catch my drift. Yeah. And I don't know why that always stuck in my head, but that was like from any Ren and Stimpy I did watch, that's maybe the most raunchiest thing I could remember. And I'm just thinking, why was I watching this as a kid?
Right. It's like I love the Animaniacs, but the one thing that I remember more than anything is
Fingerprints.
Yep. Exactly. No.
Yeah, that. God love animators in the 90s. They just stuck in jokes for the adults.
They did indeed.
Fantastic.
Even what was
20 years, kids, you're gonna love this.
The House of Mouse?
No.
It was a Disney cartoon after school.
Yeah.
I think it was called
Mickey
the
Mouse
House
thing.
of Mouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard Mickey Mouse call somebody a blowhard. And like when I grew up, that was not a word I was allowed to use. I turn around and I'm
like that when Mickey was new, like calling someone a blowhard was just saying they're talking a lot of gas. Like they're blowing smoke kind of deal. Like being a blowhard is just like you're talking a lot of nonsense there, you nutto. That's and I feel like the animators just continuously think Mickey Mouse is stuck in the 30s. Minus the racism.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I know. He was saying this 80 years ago. He could say it now. Minus the racism.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how the fuck we got on that topic. But
back to comics, you idiot.
Yeah. Okay. Because you're like, not the mama. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was. Anyway. Dick
Podcast
then as usual. Wouldn't be a show if we didn't talk about 5 other things that have nothing to do with comics.
Fucking A.
Yeah. So Nightwing then doles out plans for all the major heroes. He's picked his team leaders, and everyone has their mission requirements, including various members of the Justice League are given tactical upgraded suits that Batman and Superman were building just in case something like this needed to happen, and they needed extra power. It has some surprise upgrades. And the rest of everybody else needs to be patient because the Replicator is currently working on additional gear for everyone else. Of course, most of these heroes are all depowered, so they need all the help they can get. Mr. Terrific, meanwhile, calls over BlueBeetle and finds a kid named Airwave. Hey, Harold Jordan Jr.
Well, that's the thing. Is this Harold Jordan? Because Harold Jordan's costume was a different color.
You're a different color. No, it was green.
No.
Yeah.
It was
green and yellow, but like there's a lot less yellow in this, but it was green.
You're sure?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Pretty sure. Well, now you got me second guessing this.
I could have swore that Harold Jordan's costume looked different than what we got in this book.
Okay, so the original Airwave was blue and yellow, but the current Airwave, like the Harold Jordan Jr., is a little different, but the color scheme is the same.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just picking up on that then.
Yeah. Like he didn't have a lightning bolt on his chest. He had an A for Airwave.
Right.
But yeah, so end of the day, Airwave is here, and I'm happy. Because goddamn, they need to run with this character again. Like they were looking for DC's version of Spider-Man. They tried it a couple of times. They had Wallace West. They had Sideways. They had Monkey Prince, and cool. They kind of just let them all go. You had one for the past 50 fucking years in Airwave. Just bring him back, please. There's your Spider-Man right there. Teenage character, relatable. He's related to other heroes. Relatable, kind of, but it works. It works. Make Airwave DC's version of Peter Parker, please.
You heard it. So let it be done.
That's it. Also, he's a legacy character. Like he's not even the first Airwave.
It works on multiple levels.
Exactly. But Mr. Terrific pulls over Airwave and Ted Kord to work on something. He has an idea about something and he needs their help. Superman, meanwhile, is being comforted by Aquaman, who knows what it's like to lose a child. They just feels like he could have done more, but at that moment, the door to the fortress blows open, and in walks Brainiac, Queen, and John Kent as Cyborg Superboy, which is the person on the cover that I completely forgot was turned into a cyborg, is now working for Amanda Waller, completely under her control, or under Brainiac Queen's control, and begins to just beat the ever-living daylights out of all the heroes, because they have no powers, and the ones that do have powers remaining are captured by Brainiac Queen, and they are teleported or have their powers sucked away. Meanwhile, all the big heroes are doing what they can to take down John, while Clark is doing his damnedest to, excuse me, just get through to him and tell him to break free of Amanda Waller's control and Brainiac Queen's control, and he's stronger than this. Dreamer, meanwhile, is able to get in there through the dreams of rather specifically Wonder Girl, Yara Flor. I don't know why it had to be specifically her, but apparently it was. That was the plan, and they stuck to it. So she dream walks her way into the fortress, bringing with her an invisible Amazo, who then reveals itself. This one potentially has the abilities of Martian Manhunter, who was captured. But this one does not have any specific name apart from stealth assets, and begins draining superpowers from all sorts of heroes. Zealot is able to slash it in half, very Trunks versus Mecha Frieza style, but then he rebuilds himself instantly using an energy signature that Batman recognizes but can't quite place. And after the summary, Josh, if you have any fucking ideas, please hit me up, because I cannot think of it. But it also looks very familiar, and every idea I have also has a very valid reason as to how it could not be.
I'm sorry, can you... What specifically?
The energy signature that the Amazo android is giving off. Batman says he knows that signature and he can't think of where it's from. I imagine it's supposed to look familiar to us as well, being the major geeks that we are. But every idea I have as to what it could be is also equally given reasons as to why it's not. But we'll get into that after. So yeah, this Amazo android is self-healing, and the heroes are doing everything they can still, just even like fight it off. Flash, Wally, shows up with a box of kryptonites to weaken John. Batman is then stuck face to face with the Amazo android, as he breaks free of the other heroes, calls him grandfather because he was built by Failsafe, who was built by Bruce, so Bruce is his grandfather. How creepy is that? Bruce's suit has some ultrasonics, which fries his sensors for the Meso's sensors for a little bit. And what Bruce was grabbing was a Phantom Zone projector, which he then drops and is then picked up by Mr. Terrific et al. Brainiac Queen, meanwhile, has found the Bottle City of Kandor, and it seems quite familiar, and figures she'll keep it. But this is when backup plan comes into play, and Aquaman, using part of his suit, which sends out a harpoon. Okay. Shatters the glass surrounding the Bottle City of Kandor, which unleashes all the Kryptonians therein, which also gives them all the powers of Superman once more. And because they're miniaturized, they just infest Brainiac Queen like a swarm of parasites. Fucking tapeworms, an infection. You know what I'm trying to say. There's a word I'm trying to think of, but I can't remember what the fuck it is. But basically, yeah. So they're doing what they can. But
Parasite?
The Kryptonians.
Well, I was trying to figure out that other word you were saying.
No,
I mean, just about anything's got to be better than tapeworm.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. Right. So Brainiac Queen then reveals that she's able to change her matter, or basically she converts her body into red solar energy, which then weakens all the Kandorians within her, and they are now captured. Clark sees no other way around this. Kandor was their Hail Mary, so he figures it's time to self-destruct the fortress. So everybody gets out through a portal that Mr. Terrific was able to build. Him and Beetle jury-rigged a transportal exit, but it's not going to hold for long, so everybody's getting out. But Clark is captured by Brainiac Queen, and then Dreamer says she's had enough. Using her powers, frees Superman and takes the fight to Brainiac Queen herself, and then is screaming through the cameras on Brainiac Queen at Waller, saying she's done with this. She's done being Waller's puppets. Whatever you're making me do, my family would not allow this. And you're just going to make this world sick and twisted and bring nothing but pain, so I'm done.
I got it. But go ahead.
Okay. I'm almost done anyway. And that's when the fortress explodes. John, kind of from the outside, in his robotic voice, is reporting that the fortress has been destroyed, but then awakens as himself and says, Dad. So he's kind of coming to, and on Gamora Island, fucking Waller is dealing with what's happened and seeing that the plan did not go according to plan completely. Dreamer betrayed them and is also now dead because the fortress exploded, but Brainiac Queen is a lot more resilient, and just as John is starting to really come to terms with everything, is found by Brainiac Queen and reinserts herself into his programming. And with that, Sarge Steel updates Amanda Waller on all the weapons that they took from the Justice League archives, and has left Oliver Queen to catalog it all, since he's the only one that knows what half of them can do, as Oliver finds a box containing what seems to be stuff from Kronos, and just says, time's up, and that's where the issue ends. What's Ollie doing? I think he's being a double agent, but we will see.
That's
quite
the
honestly,
only thing we can hope for.
It's the only thing that makes fucking sense. It's the only thing about this entire book so far that could make sense, is that Ollie's playing Waller to get inside and take it down from the inside. Because if anything, that's what Ollie is best at, taking things down from the inside.
Hmm.
I would say. What does an
Fair
arrow
enough.
do? When it pierces your body, it gets lodged in there. When you take it out, it rips your body to come out.
Indeed it does.
Right? It takes things down from the inside. Like an arrow. Yeah. Anyway. This issue was hit and miss for me. There were parts I liked, there were parts I didn't. I wasn't thrilled about the superhero fight at the beginning, like the arguments over who should be leader. Like, y'all have been at this for decades. Stop acting like children. The children are doing better than you. If that's not a metaphor for life right now, I don't know what is. But yeah, so Nightwing stepping up and being the leader that he was groomed to be is perfect. I think that was great. It's a shame that it had to fall on the backdrop of the mentors fighting amongst themselves. The major fight in the fortress was kind of shocking to me. A lot of people are captured. We're basically left to just the core Justice League and maybe a couple of Titans now. That's it. Everybody else is gone. What the hell's going to happen next? Who knows? Oliver looks like he might be a double agent, and Dreamer has just, as far as we know, straight up died.
That's what we know so far.
Very shocking, if I do say so myself. One thing's for sure, the art is fantastic throughout the issue. I especially love the design on Cyborg Superboy with John Kent. It's really good looking. But this issue is going to get, for now, a 7.
All right.
And that's what I got. So what do you got? You said you figured something out.
First and foremost, I know who that Amazo is, who it was
the
based after. If I'm wrong about this, please, anybody out there listening, I want you to write this down and wait a month and let me know if I'm right or not. Hopefully not even a month. But this particular Amazo can self-heal.
Yeah.
Can turn invisible.
Yeah.
Seems to be able to manipulate the energy around them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one other thing I need to check real quick, but I don't have a real good look at it. But so are you familiar with Lyral Docs? Or Lyral Docs? I was never able to figure out how to Brainiac 3's real name.
Oh, Brainiac 3. No, so Viral Dogs is Brainiac 2, right?
Viral Docs. This is Viral Docs' son.
Okay, so no, I'm not familiar with Brainiac 3.
All right, so Brainiac 3's dad is Viral Docs, Brainiac 2. But the mom is one of the founding members of Legion.
Okay.
Was a member of Rebels.
Okay.
Can turn invisible, can manipulate energy, has accelerated healing and mutated physiology. And their name is Stealth. With no actual real true identity ever given for the character.
Okay.
And we haven't seen them since, when did Blackest Night come out? What year?
2009.
2009?
Yeah.
So it was in 2009 during the Blackest Night event where was the last time that we saw Stealth alive.
Right.
Or dead, rather. But
yeah.
Okay. That was quite some time ago, but I am very, very sure that this is who that is.
Now, I have a question. Does Stealth have a green and purple color scheme?
If you look at Stealth, and you look up on their whole deal, they've got a bunch of different ways that Stealth has been drawn in Legion and Legion Archives, in a couple of Elseworlds books, and two different main comic book appearances. One is more of a let's say amateur special ops kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one looks very much like a 1990s chick with a V-neck and a 3/4 length leather jacket, lots of pouches, and a giant gun.
That one I see right now.
Both of them have pink eyes,
Right.
and have unusual hair. One is blue, the other is white. But as far as like a color scheme specifically, no, there's never really been any specific color scheme that I'm aware of. But then again, I mean, this one has some blue, some red, and black and gray. So it looks very stealthy, even if it's not matching her color scheme quite right. But they only call her, I'm convinced already. They only call that Amazo Stealth. So that's my best guess as to who that is right now.
Oh, okay.
As far as this book, 80% of the depowered heroes, 80% of the heroes are depowered and caught. The 20% that remain are underground, and of course are the best heroes. A couple of pages in, we get a complete reprint of a page from the last issue with Batman and Terrific arguing like school children. I want to be the boss. No, I do.
Yeah.
Smack, smack. Go to your room. What happens to Dreamer and the Brainiac Queen after being caught in the explosion? We don't know. Luckily, they were cool enough to turn John into some kind of a cyborg, but I'm sure by the end of this, he'll have somehow restored his body, because, you know, that's usually what happens when you lose half of it. It just comes back. At the very end, we get hope that Ali is still a good guy. This is just all over the place for me. Like a bunch of ideas that were all thrown together at the wall, and whatever spaghetti noodles stuck there, that's what they wrote. Dreamer died, but come on, not really. John is now Cyborg Superman Jr., and Superman blew up the Fortress of Solitude for absolutely zero reason.
Yeah.
Look, this isn't.
Oh, no, John didn't blow it up. It was Clark.
That's what I said, Superman.
Oh. I don't know. I thought I heard you say John blew it up.
Oh, no. I said John is now Cyborg Superman Jr.
Right.
And Superman Clark blew up the Fortress of Solitude for absolutely no reason. Again, not the worst thing DC has ever done. Definitely not the greatest. Maybe I'm expecting too much out of a big comic event. Maybe I'm expecting too much from Mark Waid. But I can tell you one thing. McFarlane action figures from this arc would sell even worse than they did for Death Metal.
I mean, there's not many.
And I love the Death Metal. I have all of the Death Metal.
Yeah.
But well, not all of it, damn it. But anyway, back to this. Mora is Mora, and everyone always wants Mora of Mora because he makes everything look so good. Everything. I just wish that this felt deeper, or like, hell, I don't know. Just I wish it felt like there was more. It feels very surfacey. I don't know. I want to like this, but this is hard for me to get into. Like, I can read it without force, but then I get to the end of it, and all it gives me is a, okay. So, Absolute Power number 2 is going to get a 6.75 from me.
Right on. I guess it. Right? Yeah, I gave it a 7. I mean, we're on the same page, realistically.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Excuse me. No need to hire a detective and figure that out. And speaking of which, we will move on to our very last book, Batman number 151, written by Chip Zdarsky. Oh, where'd that go?
Oh.
Okay, let's try that again. Batman 151, written by Chip Zdarsky, pencils by Mike Hawthorne, inks from Adriano Di Benedetto, colors from Romulo Fajardo Jr., letter from Clayton Coles, and Salvador LaRocca and Matt Herms doing that cover. We got a little bit of a backup, just a tiny one. But the main story is actually, you know what? Let me do the backup first. Teeny Howard is still ongoing with Harley here in this backup, teaming up with artist Mariana Ignazi, colorist Giovanna Nero, and letterer Clayton Cowles. And this one is tied into Absolute Power. It's pretty simple with really good art and colors. All the heroes are pretty much gone, but Riddler isn't quite aware of that. He does his typical Riddler thing, and Harley shows up because there's no one else to save Gotham. He's going to cause a nuclear meltdown at the power plant. Harley tries to beat the answers out of him, but knocks him unconscious. So her and the hostages manage to figure out the riddles and save the day. The only problem is, this is a national security risk, so Harley has to sign an NDA, and no one can ever know how she saved Gotham from a nuclear meltdown. That figures. Sorry, Harles. It's fun, and it looks good. I'll give it an 8 for a backup. That was pretty impressive. But as far as the main goes, it was the book begins with Batman recruiting Catwoman to help him steal the mother box that Nightwing ordered him to retrieve in the last book that we covered. They head to Okinawa in disguises, where they know that Waller is keeping the mother box, while Bruce distracts the U.S. general he's meeting as a representative of a private military group called Sentry Globe, which sounds an awful lot like Spynet to me, but that's a different story. He manages to bribe the general to give them a black spot hidden from view, somewhere to train his soldiers in preparation for what comes next. Meanwhile, Selina, having been escorted out of the meeting, starts sneaking around the base in search of the mother box. The general takes Bruce, in disguise, to the location that they can use, but says that they can't get access to the special bunker base with any amount of money, which is ultimately what Batman was there for. So Bruce slips on the bat cowl and says, well, I'll take it a different way then. Catwoman has followed the Suicide Squad that she found, hoping that they will lead her to the box, but she gets found out by Black Alice, who does not have her magic powers stripped away. Though her power is actually just replicating the powers of those around her, but I guess here it is straight magic. There's been some back and forth with Black Alice and what they've been doing with her, so I can't get too pissed off. I really want regular Black Alice back. Anyway.
I hear you.
It was a really interesting character. Anyway, so Clock King and Deadeye are fighting Selina, and then they fight Batman as Selina gets away. The whole time, Clock King is counting down the seconds before someone arrives. They were supposed to meet them there at an exact time. That someone is a cyborg-looking Bizarro, and he's not happy to meet them. Batman is able to Bizarro speak his way out of the situation, but that's when Selina says, I need you here now. I found something, and it's not a mother box. He gets there, and indeed it's not the box, it's a boom tube, opened up perpetually, it seems. Batman reasons that the mother box has to be hidden on the other side of wherever this boom tube leads. They both know it could be deadly, but they ignore that and don some breather masks and jump on through anyway. They find the mother box. It's on Zarnia. Batman goes outside to figure out while Catwoman tries to steal the mother box. She trips an alarm on the case it's sitting in. Batman turns to run back to help her, but gets shot in the chest by Gunsmith, of all fucking people. Of course, he's in a badass bat suit, so he's okay, but the house, or rather, it's actually Waller's family morgue that she moved to Zarnia, blows up, seemingly with Selina inside, until you look real close at the picture and see that she's actually thrown outside by the explosion. And then that is when Deadeye, Black Alice, and again Bizarro show up. And that is the end of that. Rob, why are the tie-ins so much better than the main story in this event?
It's normally the other way around, right?
It's not supposed to be like that. I mean, this one is, and I appreciate it. It's a whole lot in one book, but it doesn't feel rushed or crammed in. It's just the right pace with just the right amount of story development. And of course, Hawthorne and DiBenedetto are just as big of stars here as Zdarsky is. They pull everything here together and make it work so well. This one got an 8.5 out of 10 from me. It could have been higher, but there were a few poor dialogue choices that just came across really corny. But it gets an 8.5 nonetheless. And again, that backup I gave an 8, but I'm not going to let it drop down the main store. The whole book, Batman number 151, is going to get an 8.5 out of 10 from me.
8.5 is pretty much my score as well. I was kind of debating between two numbers, and I'll just call it 8.5. It is a lot more interesting. It's not the perfect story, but it is a lot more interesting.
Right?
I think what it is the fact that Absolute Power as a whole is like the middle ground story, and the players it's following are not super interesting, and it's the middle point because it's sending off all the sub stories, right?
Okay, fair enough.
You saw it in this issue, like they literally had Nightwing detail, okay, you are going to go do this in your series, and you are going to go do this in your series, and you're going to go do this in your series. Like, if you want to read their missions, go read their books. And then the rest of the story just flies off the rails and kind of contradicts everything we've seen in the solo books already. So it's kind of like they have all the heroes getting blasted and decimated, and the fortress needing to be blown up. But in Superman's solo book, they had him and Zatanna going off on his solo mission in the fortress.
Right.
It's already kind of foggy. So
it's all Foobarg now.
It's a little murky. But that's continuity for you. Fuck it. It's a construct. It's like time. Doesn't matter. But no, honestly, like this book, this story is very interesting. I like seeing Batman and Catwoman working together. Almost every writer in the past decade has had a version of Bat and Cat together to see what's going to happen. It's Chip Zdarsky's turn. Even though he's already really had that with Gotham War, but I try not to talk about Gotham War because I will just get aggravated. This is a lot better than Gotham War. This is them working together, and I'm happy about that because it works. It always has worked. It always will work. It works here. It's going to work. Don't stop having it work.
Don't stop. Get it.
Oh god damn! You're gonna get that song stuck in
it.
Meanwhile, like that reminds me, I listened to a House of Pain song this morning that I forgot about that I want to show you that I fucking love, which you probably heard. I want to revisit it and talk about it because it's fucking awesome. Anyway, that's the story. I don't have much to say about the backup. It was there. It was interesting. It's a Harley story with the Riddler. It was cool. But it's a much better story than what's going on in Absolute Power, and I dig it. So it's 8.5.
Fair enough, my man.
Yeah, the art rocks too.
What's that?
The art rocks too.
Oh yeah, the art rocks. Indeed, it really does. I thought, for Harley has been off on her own adventures for quite some time.
Yeah.
And has kind of been pretty much disconnected from the main universe for the most part. There's been little things that let us know that it's, everything is all in the same place, but she's been existing all out on her own. And I think it's really cool to see her jumping into the event in her own little story, even if it isn't a backup.
Yeah.
Which is so much better treatment than she was given when we had that Joshua Williamson event where everybody turned into monsters.
Night of the Monster Men?
No, not that long ago, my man. Batman turned
Beast
into
World.
a wolf.
Yeah.
Beast World, that's what it was called. Harley Quinn turned into a fucking gigantic beefcake rabbit. I mean,
that was fun.
I feel like she's gotten a lot better treatment in this tie-in, and I'm glad to see that.
Yeah.
And I think that's all of her books, my man.
Yeah, that is for now. So, y'all know what that means. Time for a top 3 and favorite moment if you have one.
You know what? I really like my favorite moment. So I'm going to save that for the closer. Why don't you go first this time?
Oh, shit. Okay. I don't even really have a favorite moment. So, top 3. Starting at number 3 is going to be Birds of Prey. It was a fun, cute little issue. Actually, no, I do have my favorite. I got a couple of favorite moments. One might be yours. Birds of Prey.
I doubt it.
A number of cute, fun moments in amongst a really good story. Nothing to hate. BlueBeetle at number 2 and Shazam at number 1. To no surprise, since that was my highest rated book. Favorite moment for me, honestly, is going to be kind of a tie between Uli and Jaime finally kissing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was that was so cute, and
right, it was like
about time.
I felt for that brief moment, and this is just in that brief moment. Do not let this reflect on the whole series, but in that brief moment, on that one page, I felt like I was watching a CW show.
And quite honestly, that's fair.
Right?
It had that vibe to it.
Everything else was not like that, but that one moment, it was like, well, that is definitely supposed to be emotional. And then his reaction was funny.
Yeah, so. That's ultimately what it was for me. Was we always knew how she felt for an alien that's trying to understand human customs and have this crush on this guy,
right.
But he has not really shown the same signs to a certain degree, and then we find out that he has no clue what the hell's going on. Okay, it's great. But equally as entertaining for me was Barda fighting the bunnies. That was just epic.
Well, I am glad that you liked that one. So, my top 3, BlueBeetle would have been in 3rd place. Got the same score, but it also made me a little bit sad to see the series go. So I had to let that one slide, and instead I gave 3rd place to Birds of Prey. 2nd place I'm going to have to give to Shazam, because it is a role model for what a Shazam book should be. And number 1 blew me out of the socks. Darsky keeps doing it. My 1st place pick is going to be Batman. Now, my favorite moment, my absolute favorite moment in this entire week, and I mean hands down, is when Jaime and his parents, let me rephrase that, where Jaime's parents are harassing Jaime about who he is dating. Yeah. And he's like, there was this one, she tried to kill me. Whatever happened to that Naomi girl? I feel like she just disappeared. I fucking laughed my fucking cheeks.
Yeah,
my cheeks
actually
hurt
forgot about
so much. I was like, oh, well, yeah, she kind of did, didn't she?
Yeah.
That's what happens with a Bendis idea.
Yeah.
But that was definitely my favorite moment. Oh, it made me laugh again. Love it. Yeah. I do suppose that is the end of the show, everybody. So thank you very much for watching. We will be back next week covering all of DC's weekly releases. Same geek time, same geek channel. But before we get out of here, to a man that cannot hear us because he's on a damn airplane right now.
Yep.
Brandon, we fucking miss you, man. Have fun in Europe.
Yep.
All right. Now we're getting out of here, so you'll have to as well. Be careful out there, and remember, in the Geek Matrix, everybody has a home. In the Geek Matrix, you are not alone.
Cody and Bobby say, peace.
What the hell, Bobby?